Wake up, everybody! Welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. I'm your host, David Rutherford. As a behavioral training specialist, motivational speaker, author, and life coach, my mission in life is to help you discover the behavioral truths behind what it takes for you to succeed in any environment imaginable. So stand by and let me help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn to live the team life. HOOYAH! All right. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. All right, everybody. I hope you are up and moving. I hope you've got that rucksack on. You're planning. You've already started your ruck. You're going on a 40-miler or your 20-miler, or maybe you've already finished your 60-mile bike ride this morning. Perhaps you've already done your PT. You've done 400 burpees, 800 air squats, and man, you are just going big. Or you're on the flip side of that and you've just literally gotten up, you're washing the sleepies out of your eyes, and you're basically getting your first cup of joe and you're trying to shake off last night as best you can. But either way, you're up, you're going, and it's time. You're listening to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio, and that's because you want to get motivated. That's because you want to get fired up and you want to push yourself to the next level by kind of embracing the Froglogic mindset, embracing the Navy SEAL mindset, and you want to really begin to start answering and asking yourself the tough questions in life, the tough questions that make and determine whether or not you're going to realize your dreams and realize and be able to focus and accomplish everything that you've got there in your life, and to be better, to help the greater good, to serve others, folks. That's what it is. So I'm going to fire away, man. I hope you're ready. I hope you're anchored in this morning. I hope you're you're physically, mentally, and spiritually prepared, because today's show is a massive, huge show. I mean, this is one of the huge fundamental components of Froglogic and what I'm all about in my life, what we're all about in the SEAL team. So I'm going to hit you right away, all right? It's going to be a free fire zone in here today. So I want you to be prepared, because here comes the first question right now, right at you, wherever you're at. I want you to think about, what are you willing to do for your team? That's it. Think about that. Think about that. Think about your life. Think about your teammates. Think about your actions. What are you willing to do for your team? Now this covers a whole huge array of possibilities, doesn't it? This forces you to actually think, well, what am I willing to do for my team, man? Well, all you got to do is you got to look at your past week, folks. That's pretty endemic of how your behavior is, what you're thinking about, what you're going to do is what you've done this past week. So let's think about it at work. Let's just start for just one. Slow down, right? Let's just think about what you did this past week at work. Did you give your overtime? Did you put in any overtime to better your team? And better yet, did you put in any overtime without pay? Did you give something more to the team when you didn't have to, right? Did you go beyond your work description? Did you do something to just roger up for something or somebody just to help them achieve their objective? And better yet, why don't you take a thought about this one? Did you actually help another excel at their job, and quite possibly that they could actually get a promotion over you, or get the promotion you've been waiting for because you helped them achieve something great? Now, I'm sure every single one of you out there has already done that. That's what you've been doing, right? That's how you've behaved this week. So we can move on from work because you answered yes on all those questions. You're like, yep, check, roger that. Yep, check, that's good. I'm squared away on that. No worries. I did that. So let's go about at home. Think about, what you're willing to do for your family. Did you go above and beyond for your family this week, right? Did you go in and help your parents out, or did you help your wife out? Did you go up? Did you raise your commitment level? Did you push beyond? Did you do something extra for your children? All right, did you do something extra for your siblings? Did you do that, or did you complain? Were you whining about something like, oh, well, I'm not doing it if he's not doing it, or you know what, I'm just too doggone tired. I'm too tired to do anymore. Do you know how hard I work? Did you say that this week? Is this your voice? Do you know how hard I work? I don't need to come home and have to do that too. That's ridiculous, folks. All right, so now I've got you thinking at work and at home, and of course, everybody out there has already said negative, right? No, Rut, we got this. No, we've been charging hard all week. We're good to go. And now, this is another question. This is a question that, we typically ask ourselves in my world, all right? Are you ready for this? Here's the second question of the day. I want you all to think deeply and get right inside your minds and your hearts and for this one. Are you willing to die for your teammate? Now think about that one. Now I ask audiences around the country, around the world on this one. I present this question all the time to people. Are you willing to die for your teammate? And now I know what you're thinking to yourself. Well, you're like, what? Well, man, that's easy in your mind, dude. You're in the SEAL teams. You were in the SEAL teams. You're a contractor, man. That's easy to bring that forward in your head. Well, I'd just say, and halt there for a second. Why don't you think about it? Or would you die for your children? Would you jump in front of a bus for your child? Amen, you would. And I'll tell you what, would you do the same thing for your brother, your sister, your aunts, your uncles? Now it starts to get a little tougher, right? You start to think about those things and really how committed you are. Because, folks, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about commitment. We're talking about what you're willing to do for your teammates, how far you're willing to push yourself. And really the main question is, what are you capable of? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to do in order to help your team? In order to live the team life. That's right, folks, because that's what we're going to talk about today. And this is a huge thing because you need to define that. You need to define what commitment means to you. And trust me, we've had commitment your whole life. You started learning about commitment when you were sucking your thumb and going to the bathroom in your pants when you were a little kid. That's when you first started thinking about it. So now as you've gotten older and that statement, that comment, that thing has just gotten so worn in your head that every time you hear someone talk about, are you truly committed to what you're doing in life? You get nauseous and you're like, if I hear that word, that statement again in another ridiculous Pinterest post or something on Facebook and some quote, I'm going to launch, dude. I'm going to actually spray down my computer with this nausea, man, because I'm tired of hearing it. Well, you're tired of hearing it because you don't have a fundamental definition of it, folks. And that's what you have to do. If you want to truly live the team life at the highest level, you have to define commitment and what it means to you in your heart every single day. That's what you have to do. I mean, you think about our definition of commitment. We'll talk about it a little bit more here, but our definition of commitment in SEAL team doesn't come from a thing written in a book or on our creed or something like that. It comes from the acts of human beings. Most particularly, it comes from the act of a man who won the Medal of Honor. His name's Mike Monsoor. And Mike Monsoor, he defined commitment by dying for his teammates. That's right. He jumped on a grenade to save his teammates' lives. Now, there's no higher definition of commitment in our minds. Now, where is yours? Where does yours start? Where does yours set in? Where do you understand the level of commitment? Perhaps maybe you've gone through something significant in your life, so you have a little definition of commitment. You understand what it takes to push through those dark clouds, those stormy seas in order to get to the other side. So, but the rest of you who don't, and you haven't defined commitment in a while, we're going to help you do that today on Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. And I'm fired up, man, because we're going to use a bunch of cool things and to help you understand, your definition of commitment. And then also, we're going to talk about Mike Monsoor, and then we're going to get into the Froglogic concept, right? We're going to talk about the Froglogic mission, living the team life, mission 1, commitment. And this is a follow-on to last week's show about team life and what living the team life is all about. And I talked about the 4 main missions, which is commitment, training, communication, and leadership. So this week's show is all about mission 1, commitment. And that's the thing. We're going to start right off the board, because if you don't have fundamental commitment, holy commitment in your heart and your body and your spirit to your team, then you don't even know where to begin to start with living the team life. So, and remember, folks, this comes from, my philosophy, the Froglogic concept. And this is 20 years of my personal experience, really searching the human condition about what enables us to succeed in the most incredible environments known to mankind. And I've had the incredible fortune and benefit to become a part of the Brotherhood, the SEAL teams, where, I've combined the 70+ years of sacrifice and bleeding on the battlefield and commitment to one another. And I bring that mindset into the Froglogic concept in order for you, the people at home, to be able to grasp this and understand it in a way that you can actually implement it into your life in order to achieve your dreams, right? And really the concept behind it is that my desire in life, and based on all this 20 years of experiences, is to really see and fundamentally understand that there's three fundamental truths: is that you have to learn to embrace your fear, forge your self-confidence, and live the team life. And so these 4 steps today will definitely help you get you on your way towards living that team life with mission 1, commitment. And so the 4 concepts that we'll use to help you with your level of commitment today are 1, concept 1, commitment to yourself. Concept 2, never quit. Concept 3, no whining. And concept 4, the mission never ends. And after we go through those, we're going to take a little short break, and then we're going to take callers. So if you're interested in asking me a question, or you want to know something, go ahead and give us a shout today at 760-913-4130. That's 760-913-4130. Or hit me up on Twitter at David Rutherford at teamfroglogic.com. Hit me up on Twitter, ask me a question, and we'll answer it here live on the air, all right? But I want to also say we're going to have a special guest today, and our special guest is a guy by the name of Jason Redman. This is a teammate of mine, a former Navy SEAL guy. He's just off the charts. He's an amazing man who back in September of 2007 was leading an assault force as a platoon commander in the SEAL teams, and was on a high-value target mission in Iraq, and they came under fire, heavy machine gun fire, and he got hit multiple times. He got shot twice in the arm, once in the face, as well as multiple rounds in his helmet, his night vision, his body armor. I mean, the guy was saturated, as well as 2 other guys that were in there trying to rescue him, as well as on the fight, got shot as well. But they all came home alive, man. They all survived that firefight. And Jason has turned into just this amazing guy because his commitment level and to serve others didn't stop there that day. It didn't wane. It didn't stop. It got even better. Like when he was recovering in the hospital, he put up this orange sign that has become infamous that basically said, "Don't come in this room if you're going to bring your bad attitude. If you're not committed to me and my healing, you stay outside. Roger that? Roger that." I mean, this sign is amazing. Check it out on the internet. And then he goes on and he starts an amazing organization called Wounded Wear. And Wounded Wear's mission is to raise the national awareness of the sacrifice of wounded warriors, their families, and the families of the fallen service members. In support of this mission, Wounded Wear advocates on behalf of facilities and facilitates opportunities for those who have sacrificed so much, as well as providing free fashionable clothing kits and modifications to wounded warriors that empower them to rediscover the hero within. I mean, this guy is off the chart. So we're very privileged to have Jason Redman on the phone here in a little bit. So let's get started, right? Let's define, I always start out with the definition of oh, and one more thing. We're going to also have Jason talk a little about his new book, The Trident, The Forging and Reforging of a Navy SEAL Leader. Okay, so we always usually start with a definition from Wikipedia, and I searched and I tried to find some great definition, but I said, hey man, let's just use the definition from the SEAL teams. So our definition of commitment, our total commitment, is the story of Mike Monsoor. So Mike Monsoor was in Ramadi, Iraq, operating with SEAL Team 3. And they were going big, man. And Ramadi during this time in 2006 was one of the most dangerous times in the history, of the entire war. It was the most it was unbelievable. I mean, combat every single day out on the streets. It was unbelievable. And Mike had already been operating at such a high elite level. He was already demonstrating his commitment because he had already gone and put himself in the danger zone, in the kill zone of a heavy enemy surprise ambush in order to save one of his fallen teammates who had been shot. He literally walked out into the street, put himself in front, and with his AW just went big. Ba, 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 ba. Bullets flying all around him everywhere so his other teammate could drag this guy to safety. So that's how he was already behaving. That was his commitment level. So later on, it was like, all right, let's, it was right before they were transitioning. It was the last mission they were going to conduct. So they went out on these clearance operations they were doing. And on this they got contacted. And in the middle of this firefight, they were pinned down and they were getting shot at all over the place. A couple snipers decided to get up on the roof that was next to the building and then provide overwatch so their unit, their platoon could break contact and move through the streets and get to good cover and re-engage the enemy. So they went up there. Well, Mike Monsoor provided security with his belt-fed weapon. So he got up there and he's sitting there and he's checking their six while these guys are taking out these targets, bow, 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 and they're doing amazing things on that roof. When all of a sudden, unbeknownst to them, an insurgent had seen where they were firing and decides to pull out a hand grenade, click, pull that pin, throw that grenade up on top of that roof, and that grenade comes down and hits Mike right on his chest, right in his body armor, hits him right there, folks. That grenade hits off, falls on the ground. Now, I want you to think to yourself, what would you do? What would you do if you got hit in the chest with a grenade? And I know that's a stretch, but go back to that question I asked you before. Would you jump in front of a bus for somebody? Have you actually risked your life to save someone else's life in the past? You know, have you done that? So you have some semblance. Well, Mike didn't think for 1 second, didn't even stop to think. And trust me, he could have jumped down a stairwell that was right next to him and saved his own life. He could have done that. It was right there. He had that option. But instead, Mike Monsoor jumped on that grenade and took the entirety of that blast in his chest and in his face. And I'm telling you what, folks, that is the definition of commitment. There is no greater definition, to sacrifice everything that you are or everything that you ever will be for the greater good. I mean, that's an amazing, amazing thing. And the incredible thing, he survived. He lived for another 35 minutes before he passed on that medevac bird. But when you think about it, those men who he saved, those men had families. They had children. They had wives. They went home to be with their families again because of the sacrifice of that one man. Now, I had an amazing conversation with one of his teammates, one of his best friends from that platoon earlier this week, JP, and I talked for an hour and 10 minutes on the phone with this guy, this teammate of mine, and he told me about Mike. And the reality was that Mike wasn't just, it just didn't happen out of the blue. This was who he was. He was committed like this every day of his life. He was committed off the battlefield. So he was the guy when somebody needed help. Yeah, I got your back. Or he was the guy that volunteered to do more. In fact, he volunteered as a new guy in that platoon to stay longer in that platoon to help the new platoons coming in. He was always the guy that was there. In fact, outside of the SEAL teams, he was committed at a whole nother level. He wanted, and I quote, JP, Mike Monsoor lived life to its fullest every single day. He had this amazing infectious laughter, I guess, this laugh that just, and everybody who heard it knew it was Mike and just was forced to laugh in and of themselves. So he didn't know, he wasn't only committed just in that one moment or those two moments that I talked about. This was a man that was committed 24/7, 7 days a week to the idea of the team life. I mean, it's what drove him. It was the drive. It was his purpose. It was his dream. It wasn't just to wear the trident. It was to earn it every day, his actions in that. So think about his story. Think about what you're willing to do. Think about how committed you are to your team. Do you earn it every day? Not in these grand acts of achieving these monumental whatever, these unbelievable challenges or achieving, something amazing, getting a promotion, whatever. But are you willing to go the extra mile? Are you willing to sacrifice yourself above and beyond for your teammates, especially in the combat of life, especially with that negative insurgency I always talk about, hammering the dog snot out of us, always? Is that you? Or is your definition anything like Mike Monsoor's actions? This is where you need to begin, folks. This is where all of us in the teams, where we begin every day. That is what we think about. That is how we get it in our brains. That's what drives us to be better. The fact that we have a teammate or the guy next to us at any given chance is willing to do that for us. That selfish sacrifice to go above and beyond, to push, to give everything for the person next to him. I mean, that's a powerful definition. Now, it was, you have to think about that too. When was the last time you defined that? And usually, we have challenges in our lives, and what happens is we go through these pretty amazing, difficult challenges, and then that's when we go through this trauma, psychologically or physically or whatever it is. We go through this trauma, and then we have a definition, right? Well, folks, why don't you start before that? Because, you got to define your commitment, how you define commitment every day in your life, because it's critical, because it's constant. You always have to be prepared. So why not actually define it before you go into some suffering, before you face it? Because it's coming. Everybody around me, everybody I know, I mean, it's coming to you. And you don't know when. You have no idea when that trouble is going to arise, when those storm clouds are going to start to come in. You don't. So you better prepare yourself in your definition of commitment beforehand. All right, now here's the deal, right? I reached out always, and I asked my team at Team Froglogic to help me define this. And one of this amazing guy on my team, I really just he's the guy that, in case you haven't paid attention, you need to go to our website, teamfroglogic.com. You need to follow me on Facebook and at David B. Rutherford. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Google Plus. I'm on Twitter. And you need to check out, because every week for these shows, I put up some new artwork. And this guy, Brian, is the most incredible creative artist I've ever seen. He's our creative director at Team Froglogic, and he's really amazing, folks. So, check out the artwork. But this guy, he came in and he said, the basics of commitment to oneself seems to be the fundamental linchpin of a healthy life, both mentally and physically. Commitment also seems to imply a decision to embrace something despite the potential risk. Now, that was one of the most poignant parts that he talked about right there. It's huge. You've got to do that, folks. You've got to, whatever risks are in front of you, you've got to prepare for that commitment, right? And then he goes on, he said, to hold on to an idea, a person, place, or thing in the face of challenges or strong headwinds. That's commitment. This idea, this something that's bigger than yourself, that's huge. And for most of us, that needs to be love, right? The love of the people around you, the love of your teammates, or your faith in God is a huge one. If you have strong faith of God, that's absolute commitment, because it's a blind faith, I mean, that's a powerful definition of commitment. All right, and then I went on to ask Lucy, and she talked about, because she just had her first baby recently, and Lucy's amazing. She's our internet wizard, and really talks about how awesome it is. I mean, the new challenges every day, and that she gains strength from her child. So her child is the definition of her commitment. Now, that's the greatest thing you could ever think about, because it's somebody else. It's something else, right? It's something else that defines her. She allows another object, and I don't want to call her baby an object. Lily's amazing. But you have to think, man, this is how to get strength from just the presence of another human being, allowing that to be the definition of commitment. And that's what I'm talking about with this story with Mike Monsoor. It's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, it's something that pushes her to sacrifice her selfless behavior as a mom every single day. Phenomenal. And I turned to my father, and one of my greatest mentors out there, and he talks about commitment is really understanding which bus you want to ride, right? What are you committed to? Are you actually on the right team? And that's a lot of times people don't do that. They don't think about what team they're on, where they're going in life, what's their purpose, right? And that means you don't know what you're committed to. You don't understand. And that's a critical aspect of understanding what your definition of commitment is. And lastly, Kat, our operations director, who is just awesome, she likes to give me quotes for this. And so I'm going to tell you a couple quotes here. One, when you believe in a thing, believe in it all the way, implicitly and unquestionably. And that's from one of my favorite guys in the history of humanity, and that's Walt Disney. That's commitment, right? That's amazing. Here's another one. When you can be anything you want, you can be anything you want to be. If you believe with sufficient conviction and act in accordance with your faith. And this was by Napoleon Hill. Man, that's huge. I mean, faith driving your commitment is an amazing, incredible thing. You got to do it. So those are some ideas, some definitions just from my team. And think of how much they resonate with the story that I told you about Mike Monsoor. I mean, that's an amazing thing. So, in the SEAL teams, like I said, we define commitment, our commitment towards team life, by the actions of others, by Mike's story, right? And we forge it through our training in BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, the hardest military training on planet. We do it in our platoon workups, where our total commitment, and then we test that commitment in the battle, right? Am I willing to sacrifice everything? And folks, we have one word answer. That one word answer is yes. It's not, well, maybe in this situation, or maybe over here, or maybe if on one battlefield we'll sacrifice and on the other we'll try, maybe we'll dance around, maybe our commitment level, goes down, and everybody's thinking to myself, well, that's normal, right? Your commitment level changes based on how much you respect another person, or how much, you actually care about what you're doing. But think about that. Think about that. How easily does your definition shift from one moment to the next? So you're not even committed to being committed. I mean, that's out of my mind. That's craziness. You can't do that. You can't determine one day you're going to be committed, the next day you're not. Because once you start doing that, then guess what? You're just kowtowing to your fears. Your self-confidence is shot. And certainly you're not committed to living the team life, folks. So in the Froglogic concept, we talk about being committed to the team life by four main concepts. So first one and foremost is you got to be committed to yourself. You got to be committed physically, mentally, and spiritually to yourself. Now, physically, you ask why SEALs do crazy things, why we go through Hell Week, or why we do these insane ruck runs, or all this amazing stuff. And it's because when the going gets tough, you physically get beat down. And if you're not committed to yourself physically, you're gonna quit. And there are no timeouts on the battlefield, folks. You can't quit in the heat of battle. So if you're not physically prepared, good luck. Stand by. And then also mentally, if you're not pushing yourself mentally to that next level all the time by embracing new ideas, learning new concepts, and pushing, then you're done, man. That's not cool at all. You got to push yourself mentally and spiritually. Now here, I'm going to get on. All right. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today on Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio for me to preach to you, to tell you I don't care where your background, what you're from, economic, social status. I don't care about any of that. All I care is that you have faith in your commitment. That there's some spiritual push. There's something inside you that lifts you up and makes you want to believe. That have faith, that total belief that you are committed to those you love and that they're committed to you. And that happens through your actions. All right. And concept 2, never quit. You just never quit. You can never stop doing it. You can never quit on your commitment because once you do, man, you're done. You're done. You see how it all affects your attitudes. And then, no whining. All right, folks, here's the deal. No whining. Concept 3, no whining. When you whine, you absolutely infect everybody else around you. And it is impossible. I repeat, it is impossible to be positive while you're whining. Because when you're whining, you're showing the rest of your team that you're not committed. And don't trust me. I know about this, man. I was one of the most whining sailors in history. Just ask my chiefs and my platoons. And, man, it was horrible. I thought that this was behavior. I thought it was funny. And I thought it was sarcasm and all that. And you know what? It was just negative. It detracted from my real capabilities. And it took me a long time to learn that, even out of the teams. And especially now, I'm learning it more than ever with my children. They're teaching me that whining is futile. It doesn't make any sense. And that's commitment, right? So concept 4, the last one, the mission never ends. Listen, folks, you are never going to reach this amazing, think of this wonderful, ultra marathon finish line. And you've been running for 25 hours or whatever it is you've been doing. And you cross that finish line and all of a sudden, somebody hands you new car keys to a Bentley or an Escalade and then they give you the keys to a second home in Aspen and all of a sudden you've got to look in your bank accounts. You got the huge bank account in the Cayman Islands and I've made it. The mission is over. I can relax and chill. And halt. Now's the time where your commitment is even heightened. Because now you've succeeded. It's time for you to share that commitment to your team life. It's time for you to push yourself above and beyond. It's time for you to give back, to serve the greater good with what you've learned. Because your commitment level has gotten you to that success. Well, now it's time for you to give that back, folks. That's commitment. Think about it. So the 4 concepts behind commitment and living the team life is commitment to yourself, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Concept 2, never quit. Concept 3, no whining. And concept 4, the mission never ends. Now, I can't make them any more simple for you guys. And these are the ones that I've used in my life, right? And these are the ones that have taught me, have really embraced me to not take the actions of a person like Mike Monsoor and let it go to waste. Just let it be a story that you read about in some news story or see something on watch it on YouTube. That's it, and that's it. You watch it, and then you let it go, folks. Because in our world, man, his commitment, that's the standard. That's how I need to act. That's what inspires my heart, that faith that I know that the guy next to me is literally going to jump on a hand grenade to save my life. Now think of what the power, now you see what the SEAL teams are capable of. You see what the Green Berets are capable, Rangers, MARSOC, all of Air Force. You see what these amazing units, SWAT teams around the country, firefighters. Think about the firefighters in 9/11, those smoke jumpers out in Arizona. Think of that's commitment, folks. And what are they willing to do? They're willing to give it all for the greater good. Now, are you willing to do that? And if you haven't asked yourself and you haven't tried to define what you're willing to do for your team and for the greater good in your family in a while, then that's wrong. That's wrong. I'm not going to say shame on you, but shame on you. Seriously. I mean, time is now. It's of the essence because you have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Because every day above dirt is a gift. Every day that you are alive, that you have an opportunity to throw your arms around somebody, hug them, and tell them you love them is a gift. So, folks, man, I just really appreciate everything, you guys paying attention to Team Froglogic. Now we're going to introduce that special guest. We just had him come on the air. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I want to welcome Jason Redman, the founder of Wounded Wear, a teammate, part of the Brotherhood, and just an amazing guy. Gave you his intro. Jason, thank you so much for calling in and being on Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. How you doing, bud?
David, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me on. I'm honored.
Oh, my gosh, Jason, I couldn't think of a better guy to have on the show for team life and commitment, and it means the world to me that you did come on, and I know your time is valuable, so, I just want to get right into it with you and ask you, how do you define commitment in life?
David, I've had an amazing life in my journey with the SEAL teams. I just retired 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks shy of 21 years, and
that is awesome.
Yeah, man, thank you. It's been fantastic. I mean, working with guys like yourself, you truly see the greatness in this nation with people in the military, and I really, really saw it in the Brotherhood. I mean, just some of the greatest people that could do anything. They could be we have astronauts. They could be rocket science. They could be doctors. They could be Olympic athletes, but they chose to serve. So that's probably the basic level of commitment that I've seen around these guys that I've had the honor to work with. I also had just an interesting career. I started out as an enlisted kid, and I was just young and immature and pretty arrogant, and I carried that for a long time. And a lot of people don't know I made some pretty big mistakes after I got commissioned because I was still a little arrogant, and I failed to understand what it was to lead. Awesome. And through that whole journey, man, it taught me so much about what commitment is. And commitment falls under really 6 key tenets that I now live by from this journey. And the first one is to overcome all. There's nothing in life that cannot be overcome without, committing to it and saying that I will not let adversity defeat me. I will keep a never quit mentality, and whatever steps in my path, whatever adversity, whether it's small, big, or absolutely monumental, I will drive forward. I will put one foot in front of the other, and I will overcome it. The second tenet is to live greatly. So many people these days walk through life, and, they never leave their house. They go to work, they come home, they sit in front of the TV, they go to bed. That's not living life greatly. There's so many opportunities in this world that people are missing out on, this great, big, beautiful world that we live in. There are mountains to climb. There are planes to jump out of. There are things to see. There are opportunities waiting every day, and they present themselves every day, and people miss out on them because they're not willing to go out and let opportunity present itself to them. So that's the second. The third tenet, and you were just talking about it when I come on, it's love deeply. You and I, we're Navy SEALs, and a lot of people think that we have to maintain this badass attitude, but I disagree with that. True people who are confident in themselves, and this was one of the lessons that I failed to learn early in life. I felt like I needed to act like I was this hard person, but the reality is, at the end of my life, and I learned this lesson the hardest way, David, when I was laying there dying, and I knew it. I knew my time was at hand. It was in that moment I realized how I'd squandered so many opportunities to be with my family and friends and people that I loved and to let them know that. So now I tell people you got to love deeply because in the end, the only thing you're going to have left in life is the relationships you forged and sustained throughout your time on this earth. The next one is to lead always. When I was younger, I used to pick and choose when I wanted to lead. I used to think, in this moment, I'm going to be a great leader. And then 3 hours later, after we were done working, I'd go out and I'd drink myself absolutely stupid and make a bad example of what it is to be a leader in front of the guys. And it really hurt my credibility. And it's something that I've come to learn. I've seen it across the spectrum of leaders in our nation now. You know, if you're going to be a leader, if you choose to be a leader of men, you must absolutely lead always. It comes back to commitment. You've got to commit to be a leader, and you do it in everything you do. You're a leader to your wife. You're a leader to your children. You're a leader to your friends. You're a leader to the people you work with. So you must lead always. The next tenet, man, is to stay humble. I was so arrogant it was almost my downfall. I almost ended my SEAL career as a junior officer because I was so arrogant. I refused to listen to people around me because I thought I knew everything. And it was almost my downfall. It almost ended my career. And I tell people now, pride has destroyed more men than all wars combined. So you got to stay humble. If you want to be a contributing member of society and do all these great things in life and meet these opportunities and set the example, you got to be humble to do it. People aren't going to come up to somebody who acts like they're unapproachable, untouchable. And I tell you, David, all those things came together with the journey of my life, and it sums it up with one thing, and that is if you live your life this way, in the end, and that moment's going to come for all of us, no matter what you do, you know, we're all one day going to leave this earth. And if you live your life this way, you'll have no regrets. When your moment comes like mine did and I got a second chance, I had regrets in that moment. So now I've been given this second chance, and I tell people, you know, you've got to overcome. You've got to live greatly. You've got to love deeply. You've got to lead always. You've got to stay humble. And if you do those things, you can leave this earth with no regrets. So that is my idea of commitment in life.
Oh, man, Jason, that's just absolutely phenomenal. I think those 6 tenets are just really, I mean, they're fundamentals for everybody to take. And what I always try and help people understand is that you don't have to be a Navy SEAL to incorporate those in your lives. And, you know, and that's what's amazing, that you have perpetuated in that moment, that moment of epiphany where you realized all these things as you were laying there bleeding out. You know, this, and then all of a sudden you were filled with the reality, the truths behind those, which helped you now have that to go on and to do the things that you're doing now. And so can I ask you to just talk a little bit about, you know, that inspiration and that willingness to be committed to continue to serve, and how it helped you to start Wounded Wear, and then also, you know, what inspired you to finally write this book, you know, The Trident, the forging and reforging of a Navy SEAL leader?
Well, the inspiration was pretty easy, David. I mean, I firmly believe it. You know, you and I both have friends. I mean, I have been to, I calculated probably close to 50 funerals of guys that I knew over my 20-year career.
Wow.
And to come that close to death like I did, I mean, doctors told me time after time again, it's a miracle I survived. With the amount of blood I lost and my injuries. So I know God gave me a second chance. I know it unequivocally. You know, that day, laying there bleeding out, knowing that, you know, the dark angel was standing there ready to take me away, I said, hey, I need a second chance. I need a chance to go home to my wife and kids. I want to be able to do this the right way. And he gave it to me. I got up. I was able to walk to the helicopter after that, you know, 75 yards and get on the helicopter under my own power. So
unbelievable.
That was all the inspiration I needed. And in those final moments, I thought about the fact that I wouldn't be there to watch my kids grow up, that, you know, my wife, I wouldn't be there for my wife to grow old and enjoy things. And now the inspiration comes from not only that, but now I'm doing all these things to help fellow wounded warriors, to help families of the fallen. And every time I go to our memorial wall and I look at it, I see my name. My name should be on that wall.
Wow.
And I look at all the other names of my fellow brothers who were much better operators and leaders than I was, yet God decided to call them home, and he didn't me. So I said, okay, I'm going to give back. I am going to honor their memory, and I'm going to do everything I can to support my brothers around me, to be a good role model, to be a good leader, to share this knowledge that I've been given in this second chance. And then, you know, why did I? Oh, sorry. What went to the creation of Wounded Wear? It was simple. You know, Special Operations Forces were very well taken care of. We're a smaller community, so it's easy to do that. Well, around me in my room, I spent 2 months in Bethesda and then almost 4 years getting put back together. And I met a lot of wounded warriors. The vast majority of our wounded warriors are these younger kids. They are your Marine Corps and they're your Army infantry, and they average about 21 years old.
Wow.
And the Army and the Marine Corps really want to support them. The problem is the Army and Marine Corps are an enormous organization. So there are a few guys sometimes that fall through the cracks. And I saw that, and I said, I want to be able to help these guys.
Awesome.
The other thing I saw, I had these pretty massive facial injuries from the gunshot wound I took to my face, and I looked pretty rough. And I wanted people to be able to understand why I looked this way. And I know a lot of wounded warriors. I met guys who felt the same way, guys who had been burned, guys who were missing limbs. And even at a different level, guys who showed no visible scars, but underneath they had demons clawing through their brain because of the invisible wounds of war. And I wanted all these guys to be able to be confident in where they'd been and to accept what they'd been through. But bigger than that, I wanted the American people to be able to look at them when they weren't in uniform and understand, hey, this is a warrior. This is somebody who sacrificed so that I could live free, so that I had the opportunity to live in the United States of America and hopefully accomplish the American dream. And that's what led to the creation of Wounded Wear. You know, our slogans, forever recognizing the cost of freedom. Our shirts that we only give to wounded warriors and families of the fallen that say scarred so that others may live free. And a call to action to our fellow Americans that says, what have you done for your country lately? You don't have to serve in the military to do good for this nation.
Not at all.
You can do it anywhere.
Amen.
So, and then the last question, the book. The book was an interesting journey. You well know within our community, publicity is frowned upon. We are not a community that likes to advertise. The core slogan of the SEAL teams is the deed is all, not the glory. And recently we've had some guys who, you know, push the envelope with that. And I'll never knock anybody who decides to tell their story. You know, all men have their own reasons for doing so. For me, it was cathartic. I started writing when I was in the hospital, and I just had so many lessons. And the core things that I look back on my life, I made some big mistakes, and I almost didn't recover from them. And then I suffered this catastrophic event in my life that it could have destroyed me. I could have allowed it destroy me, but I chose not to. I chose to overcome it. And when I look back, you know, you talk about, hey, you don't have to be a Navy SEAL to do this. You're absolutely right. Anybody can apply these principles, and I look back on my life. Everybody's made mistakes that they've had to overcome. Some are small, some are monumental. But no matter what, you can overcome them. Everybody encounters adversity in life. Some small, some's catastrophic. It's the loss of a child. It's cancer. It's something that you just don't think there's any way you'll ever overcome it, but you can. You know, it's a mindset. It's a commitment to overcome. It's your attitude that determines the outcome. And when I had friends read what I'd written, they said, you got to do something with this. So I took it to the NSW leadership, and I said, hey, I've written this. Will you support it? And they read it, and they said, absolutely. It is a very humble story of your journey. It is the story of my wife, who is my best friend, who never batted an eye on everything we went through. And it's been amazing the support that I've gotten from the Navy and the Naval Special Warfare community. I'm honored to say that Eric Olson, our former admiral, the former admiral in charge of...
Awesome, man.
He is the epitome of the quiet professional. Admiral Olson endorsed my book and wrote an endorsement on the back of the book.
Wow. That speaks volumes of you, Jason. It really does, buddy, because he, like you said, he is the epitome of our community for sure. Now, what do you Now, I hear you talk, Jason, and I get fired up, man. I mean, you're just one of those people that are infectious. You are doing more with your life than most other people do, and you really you understand that level of commitment at the highest level, and so you constantly are going through these things. And what gives you the inspiration every day? What gives you the ability now? Is it still as poignant in your mind now on laying down on that battlefield where you didn't know if you were going to make it or you thought you were going to die? Is it that, or is it now? Is it a more of a greater focus on your children and your family and your faith? I mean, has it changed much, or is it still the same thing in terms of how you're defining commitment?
I would definitely define it in a second chance. And not everybody gets that. And that's why I implore people to take advantage of the life they have right now. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Don't procrastinate. It's not time to tomorrow to start leading. It's not time to tomorrow to give that time to your children. I can do that tomorrow. We're great for that as human beings. It's part of our nature. But you never know when your moment's coming. It could be right now. It could, who knows? I mean, right now I'm sitting here doing this interview and something could happen and my time's up. It can be gone in the blink of an eye. So that is my commitment. I every day I live thinking that this may be it. This may be my last day on this earth, and God gave me a second chance. I've got to make the most of it now because I may not have tomorrow.
Wow, Jason, that's just amazing, man. I think that is a message that resonates with so many people. In fact, there's a young man here sitting in the studio with me right now who's my second cousin, and his name's Billy. And Billy went through major cancer back in November and had a large tumor cut out of his leg and had to go through this monumental post-recovery and chemotherapy. So it was funny when you just talked about beating cancer and surviving and living every day. I looked over at him and he's got this massive smile on his face because this young 18-year-old man who's sitting here with me is listening to you and what you've done in your life, Jason, and he relates. He's sitting there and he understands your message because he's lived it, man. And it was such a cool thing and just an amazing energy that's going on. So, it was just a cool story. I thought you would dig knowing that he's sitting there just head bobbing up and down, knowing what you're talking about.
That's so awesome. So, Billy, what's going on? Hey, man, you're part of the club, the Overcome Club, those who have looked adversity in the eye and said, I'm going to crush it.
Yeah, it's definitely wakes you up.
That's awesome, Jason. Well, listen, buddy, I know you've got to get to a soccer game. I can't thank you enough. Everybody out there, please, go out there, support Wounded Wear, give them some donations, ask yourself, what have you done for your country lately? And then also support Jason and support, if you really want to understand leadership and what it means and how the failures you go through in life and how they teach you to be better, go pick up his book, and you won't go wrong with Jason. So thank you so much for your time, brother. I really appreciate it. God bless you and God bless your family, buddy. Take care.
David, thanks so much. He really has. He has blessed me amazingly, and I never take it for granted. The book, The Trident, it comes out November 5th. But you can pre-order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, but it'll be in bookstores on November 5th. So thank you for everybody's support. And David, hey, let's definitely talk more in the future.
You got it. Be my pleasure. Take care, brother. Good luck in the game today. Awesome. So folks, there you have it right there. I mean, you have an amazing opportunity on Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio to hear a person, to hear an operator, to hear a leader talk about commitment at that highest level. Now, that's a massive, massive thing. That's something that you just can't find every single day. I mean, and it'll help you. And Jason Redman, he'll help you redefine. He'll help you understand what it means to be committed, what it means to live the team life. I mean, so please, do yourself a favor. Go out there and check it out. So, we've got a couple callers on who've been online for quite a while. So let's go in and take a couple of these callers. So, hey, welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio. You're on the air. How can I help you? Hello? Hello? All right, a little technical difficulty right there. Let's go to the next one. All right. Here we go. Welcome to Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio.
David, what's up, man?
How you doing? What's going on?
Hey, not much. Just sitting here studying a little bit of anatomy. I'm in PA school right now.
Oh, man, that's awesome, brother. Are you fired up or what?
Oh yeah. I'm actually a former Navy foreman.
Oh, my brother after my own heart. What's up, shipmate?
Just wanted to let you know, I pretty much watch your videos on YouTube every day for a little bit of motivation, and it really helps out. So I just wanted to thank you for that, and also wanted to thank Jason. I had the opportunity to meet him. I'm actually wearing a Wounded Wear shirt right now.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate it, dude, and the biggest thing that we always, I think, and I hope I can speak for Jason right now, and when we're out there, we're doing this because we're called to do this. We have to do this, and so anybody out there that has heard the message and is responding to it, we just hope that you are called into action as well too. So, brother, finish at the top of your class in PA school, get out there and start healing people, start treating people, and just make everything that you do about serving the greater good. And I promise you, brother, you will achieve things like you've never achieved before in your life, man. So good luck to you, man. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yep. So there you have it, folks. I mean, that right there is just an amazing a person right there who gets it, who he's heard something, he's bettering his life, he's becoming a PA, and he's taking the tools that are available to him. And listen, you don't have to use Froglogic. It doesn't have to be the only thing you use. You don't have to just use what Jason Redman tells you. Go out there and find something that inspires you. We're all unique human beings. We all respond differently to the human condition. So it's up to you. You're accountable to be inspired, and that's something that really is kind of the lost art form behind commitment and being committed to the team life is that it's on you. This is your responsibility to be committed. It's your responsibility to find the things that inspire you, man. I just read a book a couple weeks ago called Unbroken by Laura Hildebrand that was about a guy named Zamparelli, Joseph Zamparelli from World War II. The guy was a bomber in World War II that spent 40 some odd days adrift at sea in a raft after his plane went down. Then he got captured by the Japanese and was in Japanese internment POW camps, getting tortured and beaten for 2.5 years, and then got out and struggled with this unbelievable challenges of alcoholism and post-traumatic stress disorder, and almost lost his mind, but luckily found God and became committed to God and committed to just living life to the fullest. Living life to the fullest. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're trying to tell you. Live your life to the fullest. Make the most of every single day you're above dirt. I mean, one of the questions here today on Twitter was, here it is right here. How do you get back up after being wounded? Well, folks, here's the deal. This is the answer. You open your eyes and you look at all the hands that are reached out to you. You look at all the people that are out there wanting to pull you back into life, to get you back in the game, to get you back in the fight. Look for those people. And if they're not there, then you go find them. You recruit the team that's going to help you achieve your dreams. That's going to help you get back in the fight. That's how you get up. You open your eyes to commitment. You open your eyes to this unbelievable capability of living life to its fullest. You put that orange sign up on your door that says absolutely no negativity in this room. If you're not wholly committed to helping me recover and being a positive aspect to me, then get the heck out, right? Period. You're the person that is, if you're not willing to do everything that you possibly can to become better and help your team like Mike Monsoor, up to and including jumping on the grenade for your teammates. I mean, that's living life to the fullest. It's funny because you're saying, well, there's a contradictory in that. I mean, you don't end your life in order to live life fullest, but you're missing the point. You do, because you're so full of life. You have so much commitment to the person next to you, to your team, to the team life, that you're willing to do anything for them. That is massive, folks. That is a massive level. That is a massive, unbelievable mindset that will enhance your ability to achieve your dreams on the highest level. I promise you. I've seen it so many times. I've seen it in SEAL training. I've seen it being a motivational speaker, talking to audiences around the country, I just spent this past week talking to 150 kids up in South Carolina and told them about this stuff. And you could see in their hearts, they want to believe this, they want to do it, but you've got to believe, you got to have faith that the rewards are there. They're there. You just have to take the steps to be committed, folks. You just have to define them. You have to live life to its fullest every single day, because like Jason Redman said, you don't know when it's your time. You don't know. And so every day above dirt is a gift. Trust me. Trust me, I'm sitting here. I had the incredible pleasure of my life today to be sitting here and have Jason Redman call on, owner of Wounded Wear and a former Navy SEAL, been critically injured in combat but didn't get defeated, call in and tell you his 6 tenets and talk about what inspires him, why he's committed to do the things he's doing in life. And it's because to live every day to the fullest, to maximize, to be committed to life itself, to have faith in life. And then I've got Billy here, my cousin, sitting right across from me, and he's the same way. This 18-year-old kid sitting in front of me who's been there, who's seen it, who's shaken hands with the Reaper himself and said, not today, not today. And now it's back maximizing the most of every day of his life with a smile on his face. Folks, that's commitment. That's how it works. So, man, that took a lot out of me today. This was a heavy show. I know it was, but it was designed to be a heavy show. You need to have a heavy show like this. You need to have this heaviness in your life. You need to ask yourself these poignant questions. What does commitment mean to you? How do you define it? And what are you willing to do for your team? How far are you willing to go? If you're not asking yourselves this stuff all the time, you're wrong, folks. So get to it. So I just want to, follow up and say, listen, folks, you can tune in to this type of material all the time. Every Saturday I'm on. I've got a host of other programs on a ton of different topics on Navy SEAL Blog Talk Radio / David Rutherford, Navy SEAL speaker. You can find it. I've got this is my 24th show. We've got almost 400,000 downloads. It's really amazing, unbelievable. And Billy's helping me now. We're turning these into videos that will be on YouTube. We just posted our first one yesterday, and it's already doing great. So you can go to my YouTube channel and find it. We're going to start putting them on our website at teamfroglogic.com. We're getting ready to launch a new website here, probably in the beginning of next week. We've got some new products. This amazing Team Life shirt that my artist or my creative director Brian Colt designed of living the team life. Look for it on the website next week. Don't miss it. And I want to just folks, this is important stuff in your life, and then you just have to be able to go out and recognize the people that have helped you. So first I want to thank Mike Monsoor for teaching me what the definition of commitment is. I want to thank Jason Redman, man. You are still doing it, brother. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day and being on Navy SEAL Blog Talk, right? Amazing. I want to thank all of the brotherhood, all 85 teammates that we've lost in the last 13 years, all the forefathers from Vietnam, World War II, everybody before. Thank you, gents, for teaching me how to embrace life to its fullest and live the team life, embrace my fears, forge my self-confidence. I want to thank my team around me. I want to thank Billy and Brian and Lucy and Kat, Lisa and my pop, and especially my wife, the Admiral. She's the ultimate swim buddy I have. She's my ultimate teammate who helps me prove every day, along with my 2 beautiful children, how to be committed in life. So thank you all. I really appreciate everything you've given me. It's an amazing thing, folks, when you just allow your life to have meaning by being committed. So give thanks where thanks is due. Give thanks where it means the most. Give thanks and be committed to living the team life. I really appreciate it. All right. So that's it, folks. And then tune in next week to our next show, on our next mission 2 on training. All right, on how to live the the team life. It's going to be an awesome show. Got another special guest. Check the website out. Check Facebook and Twitter this week for who that guest is going to be. Look for the artwork, and you won't be sorry. So thank you for listening. Thank you all listeners. I'm your host, David Rutherford, Navy SEAL motivational speaker, behavioral training specialist, author, and life coach. And it's my mission to help you embrace your fears, forge your self-confidence, and learn how to live the team life. All right, one last thing, and don't ever forget this. I'm your new swim buddy, so let's get motivated. Ow!